Our job is not to come up with the ideas. Our job is to bitch and let them figure out how to fix it. There's no way our scene could have gotten this funded this big. Our scene is not this big. Our scene does not give a crap about anything. This was not our scene. This was opening it up to all new people, which is awesome. You know, especially seeing who cares what that 500,000 number? It's the 3,000 number that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, okay, Jess, I'm with you on this because men, Gary, have a problem with stealing women's ideas.
Whoa.
Oh, it just got real.
This is not a battle of the sexes here.
No!
Hey, toy family! Welcome to another edition of the Marsham Toy Hour, where we discuss anything and everything designer toys. I'm Gary Ham.
I'm Theresa Hawkins.
I'm George Gaspar.
And we just lost our guest like 5 minutes before the record. We were to have Ben Goretzky of DesignerCon and 3D Retro join us, but he has a cold or a flu or something.
What a freaking slacker.
He sounded pretty bad. I want Ben at his best.
I want Ben at his worst. That'll be an even funnier broadcast.
No!
He'll be on NyQuil and saying some loopy stuff. We'll get all the truths out.
That's true. Let's call him up right now.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm bummed because, Gary, you've been telling us, well, you told the listeners, but you've been telling me there's all these secrets and surprises, and it's killing me. I want to know. So
I'll tell you, there's some great stuff lined up for DesignerCon, but I actually don't know what Ben was going to be able to say tonight anyways. I don't know if it's still all secretive or what he was going to say. So for me, it was kind of a mystery of what tonight was going to be like. But stay tuned. We'll try to get Ben on in the coming weeks. But Theresa, you're going on vacation next week. Then I'm going to Seattle to visit my brother the week after that. So, you know, it could be a couple weeks before he's back on.
Yeah, but we'll get him back. We'll help get those secrets. Spill those beans.
We're going to fill your place while you're gone, though, Theresa. Guess who's joining us next week, George?
Who?
Seriously Silly K.
Oh, nice.
She's coming back on. And Theresa, I'm sad that you're not going to be on with her. I know you and I have been talking about getting her back on a lot, and now here she is coming back on, and you're not going to be here.
I know, but you just said she's going to replace me. So do I even want to be on with her? Is she going to outplay me? And then you're going to quit me, and then she'll take my place?
You're going to quit me? What is this, Brokeback Mountain? What's happening over here?
No.
Isn't that what it's from?
You're going to quit me?
I Can't Quit You? Isn't that that movie?
How many times have you seen that, George, that you can quote from that movie?
I've never actually seen it.
Oh.
I actually watched it once just out of curiosity because I had to know. It was like all the chatter, and I don't remember that line.
Out of curiosity, George, have you checked out the Funko documentary yet?
I did.
What'd you think?
It was not the worst. That's Jessica in the background, everybody.
Oh, Jess.
I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was cool to see from their perspective all of the like hype and all the stuff, because we only see the stuff at Comic-Con, that the craziness that goes on the floor, but then to see like how it gets even crazier in their own private parties and like it was pretty nutty.
Yeah, those Fun Days parties are crazy. I went to one at San Diego Comic-Con one year, and yeah, it was awesome. Such a fun night. Funko really knows how to throw on host an event and just really celebrate and honor their fan base. It was awesome. And from the documentary, I didn't know how early on the Fun Day parties actually started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know they started that early, so that was cool. And that's one thing I liked about the documentary is it just didn't focus on present-day Funko. They did a great job of going back and telling the history of the company from Mike Becker and a couple friends talking about wanting to make toys and their first toy concept to Mike and his friends, just three guys working out of a garage growing the company. I love hearing all that early history stuff, so that was great to see. And they also talked to a lot of collectors, and they touched on the San Diego Comic-Con days where you would just see this normal booth at San Diego Comic-Con selling nostalgic bobblehead toys to how they grew to become the company they did today. So I really enjoyed the documentary. It was a lot different and a lot better than I was expecting it to be. So I would say anyone who has reservations about watching it, maybe you don't collect Funko and you don't think you're going to enjoy it, check it out, because I think you'll enjoy it. I think there's going to be something you're going to take away from it. It's about
The company.
Yeah, the company and just toy collecting in general. I think anyone who's a toy collector will enjoy it.
Yeah. It was, and there was one point where it kind of started to delve into like a celebrity, like glorifying celebrities who like Funko, and it was getting a little bit weird and gross, but then it kind of got out of it. Like it was like that whole scene where they brought a Funko collector to the Star Trek lady's house, and I was just like, what's happening? What is this documentary doing right now? And that was a little gross, but then like the rest of it was really great. Like the rise of it, how it kind of made the dude sick because he was just like working so much to do this. And it's funny, like I remember, like they showed that store at Universal City Walk. Like I remember that. I remember though, like going to City Walk and seeing that display of all the Funko bobbleheads and all those things in that store, and it's. I never realized that was like the beginning of the company then. I didn't even know what was going on. Because I didn't collect that stuff. I didn't care about 70s cartoon bobbleheads. Like that wasn't my thing at all. But it was fun to see those big displays. I just didn't even realize what was going on around it,
Yeah, no, I had no idea either. I remember Sparking on Universal City Walk. I remember going in there, and I remember liking the store, but I didn't know that's kind of where Funko got its early beginnings. And that's another thing I like about the documentary, with just all the cool little stories and instances that really helped shape Funko to get their footing as a company, from that nice lady at the licensing expo that helped them out with the Betty Boop license to the store on the City Walk. Yeah. They didn't know if they wanted to carry the Funko product, but Mike Becker walked in and said, hey, well, this is my gift to you. Here's a free box of toys. If they sell, they sell, and give me a call if they do. And unfortunately, they sold like hotcakes, and boom, the company really started to seem to take off. And I love the story about Mike Becker taking phone calls out of the garage, making the company seem like it was a bigger company than it was. And then, George, you mentioned the story about, how Mike just started looking sickly and from working all the hours, and it just seemed like the company had really taken its toll. And, a nice little sentimental moment where he passed the torch on to Brian Mariotti, who has taken the company where it is today. So, it's like they needed each other in some sort of way.
Yeah, it was really cool. Anybody should watch it, even if they're not into like you said, even if they're not into collecting Funko. It's worth watching, just a toy documentary alone.
How many times did you guys end up pausing? Because there was designer toys and mainstream toys, all sorts of toys in the background of collections. And I remember one, there was the famous wrestler guy who was talking about his Funko collection and how cool it was being Funko Popped and everything. But then he goes into this big, burly, famous, masculine wrestler guy, and even there's a boxer, and they're showing their collections, but they're also just toy collectors in general too. Like here he is, he's wearing his customized Ghostbusters ectoplasm backpack or something like that, and they're showing
that was really weird.
Isn't that? But that's cool though. That there's like, it's just, I like seeing people who are just macho, but also like in their real life, there's just normal people collecting toys, just like you and I.
Right. Well, that was my favorite part. Like there was the neonatal surgeon who has like a giant Funko room he likes to share with his children. It was just, it was fun to see the variety of collectors and what they had. But I paused a lot too. Like there was a guy who was really into the little Sprout mascot, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And so then I found myself Googling like all these old mascots, because I grew up more in the 90s, and there's some stuff that is nostalgic for me, but a lot of those old mascots they were referencing was new to me, but I really liked them. So I started looking into vintage stuff, and I was like, oh God, this is dangerous, because like I don't need another thing to collect, but I get it.
I know. I've been to the headquarters. I've been in all of the offices that you see in the documentary, and they're insane and they're impressive. I mean, the people who work there are big collectors themselves, and they don't just display Funko products. You walk in, it all depends whose different office you walk into. One guy might be really into vintage tin toys, and another guy's into, like you said, the Green Giant little Sprout character. That was Sean Wilkinson's office. And then you might walk into Ben's office, which is otherworldly. That's the one where you see all the crochet and the knitting, and it's all over the ceilings and the floor, and his collection is ridiculous. And you see all these different things, and you can't help it as a collector get intrigued and want to know more about what they're collecting, because you see things. And when I walked in Brian Mariotti's office, I almost walked out of there wanting to run home and hop on eBay and become a vintage Hanna-Barbera collector.
Yeah, well, and they even, I think, touched on Like, they like people to work at Funko who are fans of things, and I think they intentionally give employees certain work so they'll be passionate about it, which I think is really, really cool. So, like, you may be really, really into, I don't know, Captain America or what have you, and so they'll assign you that project because you're super passionate about that particular character and really want to do it right. And I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, exactly. You'll know what the fan base wants. You'll know that kind of extraneous character who only got 3 seconds of screen time on a Thundercats that would really excite the fan base that's now being made into a toy or something. So yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, watch it. Don't be Funko hating.
Yeah, don't be a butthead. I understand if you don't like Funko Pops or whatever. I mean, it's not your thing, but the documentary as a whole is just a cool documentary on collecting and toys and lots of cool stuff to eye candy, look at in the background. If you don't like it, just turn it off, but at least give it 20 minutes of your time.
Yeah. Now, speaking of toy documentaries, I know there's that other series on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us, and a recommendation popped up for me because I guess they just came out with season 2. But have you all watched those? Are those worth watching too?
Oh, I was gonna wait for you guys to be done with Funko to talk about that, to watch those as well, because those are awesome. They are an hour each, and they basically delve into one topic per hour, and they're just awesome. It goes into like everything you want to know about the history of that thing that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the new ones they just put up is a Hello Kitty one, and it's so cool to see the history of like that, just how like where Hello Kitty came from. Like,
yeah, I like the story where they're talking about how they wanted to break into the States, so they had these huge warehouses full of Hello Kitty toys, but just America wasn't just taking to it, so they almost just gave up and sent all the toys back to Japan. But then they ended up developing a cartoon for Hello Kitty, and that's a whole other thing. Like, Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth, so they had to give her a mouth in the animation, and that turned out really weird. So just fun, interesting details like that was kind of cool.
Well, I will.
Good response.
Now, Theresa, there's just so much information in these shows. Now, if you think you know a line or a product, like, they're going to make you feel like a novice because there's just so much detail and information. They talk to the original designers and usually the founders, and you get all these great backstories about what figure they ended up basing it off of, or animation stories, or just it's just great. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not watching anyway, because like I find like, I wasn't watching like the Barbie one at first because I was like, oh, I don't care about Barbie, I don't collect that. But then you watch it and it's fascinating. And then, or even like the G.I. Joe one, I never collected G.I. Joe really, so like it's like I watched that one last because I was like, whatever. But then you watch it and you're like, holy crap, like this is where the term action figure was invented. Like, this is like,
yeah,
the history of G.I. Joe is basically what makes action figures exist today. And then even beyond that, it's actually Barbie, and because G.I. Joe was the male version of Barbie, basically. So really, it was the reason action figures even exist is because of Barbie, and it's all you learn all that stuff watching these documentaries. It was really cool.
Oh, cool. All right, well now I'm gonna leave the podcast and just go watch these because now
I recommend it. I do. I recommend pausing this right now and going watching one, and then come back. And
all
listen
right,
to
y'all. I'll be back in an hour. I'm gonna go watch an episode, and I'll let you know what I think. No, I will wait. But no, I saw them. I was like, do I want to watch? So, okay, now
there's parts that are weird and dumb, like where they do like reenactments of certain scenes, and you're just like, these people are not actors. These are just like whatever dudes are working on this documentary, trying to like wear funny wigs and do stupid skits. But like the reenactments are few and far between, so they're not that distracting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Theresa, one of the things that I think it was when Attaboy was on, he was talking about when he saw the show, he was really shocked at how much was actually being divulged. And we're talking about companies that were 30, 40 years old, and this is stuff that would have been inner office secrets, but now these old guys are just spilling the beans on what happened when they were working there, from inner office drama to strife with other companies, or just kind of like ego battles going on within the company and who gets credit for what and that sort of stuff.
Those old guys love to fight about this stuff now, like those, especially like the He-Man one. Those guys fight about that all the time. There's a really good He-Man documentary coming out that was it was a Kickstarter at one point, and then they showed it at PowerCon last year as like a preview. And it goes in like even deeper to like the creation than that little doc did, than this little toys that made us one did. And those guys love to fight about who created it and how it was made and all that stuff. It's pretty hilarious.
Huh.
If you like toy drama, watch the He-Man one.
I'm gonna have to find it. Hopefully, it's on Netflix soon.
And well, our scene loves toy drama, Gary, so everyone will love it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Theresa.
Oh, nothing. Just,
George, what have you been up to?
Well, I didn't go to 5 points.
You should
and
have.
I haven't listened to your episode yet, but I did look at your guys' pictures. You're such a cute couple out there in New York, you two. Gary playing in the trash.
That's going to be my whole series next year. We're going to do a whole trash series.
Yeah. Gary was like, we should have like a trip theme. And he's like, maybe we'll take pictures with like interesting trash. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much interesting trash Anaheim will have, but we can try.
I'm going to give you a hint. Stay out of the trash.
No, there's some cool objects in the trash. That tiger that I took a picture with, that was awesome trash find.
Yeah, but now you have fleas and scurvy.
Dude, scurvy is like, isn't it like a pirate disease?
Yeah, but I couldn't think of the plague quick enough, and that's the first one that came out. Now you have the plague.
And I know.
I
believe Jess was embarrassed by some of our photos. I know she was embarrassed by the trash one, and there was one where Theresa and I were pretending to have alien antennas, and she was really embarrassed by that one.
She wasn't embarrassed. She was embarrassed for you.
For us.
Why? It was cute and fun. I'm not embarrassed.
We like to have fun, Jess. We're not all uptight about trying to appeal to other people. We're having fun.
Yeah, we're not hippity dippity. We're cool on a not so cool level.
Wait, now you're getting her. She's gonna jump in at this point.
Uh-oh.
You're baiting her right
Look, I was trying to stay off this episode, but let me come in here really fast.
Yeah, crack the knuckles. Let's have at it.
Okay, so for me, like I have a weird imagination, so I like to think of the moments leading up to these pictures.
Okay.
You both looked at each other and said, "What should we do?" Oh, I don't know. Oh, let's pretend we have antennas with our fingers. And then you probably went, "That's a great idea, Theresa." And
why do you assume what's her great idea? Maybe I had a great idea.
Yeah, it was
so
Gary's.
you were
That was
both
all
like,
Gary.
"This is gonna be great." But all it does is look like a weird, like, bootleg version of like Wayne's World Foxy, and that's all I could think of is like Foxy, Foxy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
All right, you can go back to
But
the
then
sofa.
later that day, you pass by a tiger in some New York trash that's probably been sitting out there for a week, and you went, "I'm gonna pose with this tiger," and Teresa's like, "Yeah, you totally should. It's gonna be great." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get in this trash."
Because the tiger probably was not just sitting there. You had to dig it out a little bit and set it up.
No, that was exactly how it was.
No, it was totally right there, and that was my idea, Jess. I said, "Gary, go pose with that tiger. It's freaking sweet." And he was like, "Seriously?" I said, "Yes."
Learn is don't listen to any of Teresa's ideas.
I think deep down you love it, and you wish you were there with us to be in all these photos.
I'm a germaphobe, so I'm panicking because there's rats, there's fleas, like there's just so much stuff in that like trash because they leave it on the sidewalk. It's not like I don't know where everywhere else is, but like here we put ours in the trash cans and it waits outside. But that's been on the sidewalk for a week. And you were like, "I'm gonna go sit in it." And
I was actually pretty excited. I saw my first rat running around the streets while I was walking in Brooklyn. I felt pretty cool.
Surprised Gary didn't take a picture next to it.
Yeah. He looks like my tiger. I should sit next to it.
Oh man, you guys have been ruined mentally.
Theresa, I'm gonna do antennas next to the tiger. Take a picture.
You should come hang out with us sometime, Jess. We're a load of fun. We're not uptight about things. We like to be a little bit nerdy and just live in the moment.
Just wait till Decon. You can make her do all sorts of things.
I mean, Jess, we did the curtain photo, and that was all that curtain photo we did was all your idea, and you loved it, and that was goofy. Why aren't you into our other goofy photos?
Because these weren't my ideas, and they
so the truth comes out. You can go back to the sofa, Jess. We're done with you.
No, it's a bed, and and I'm just saying, I'll just like think of these moments leading up to these pictures, and like you both conversating with each other, and I'm just like, oh.
No, it really happened pretty fast. We took like 2 normal photos, and then I said, "Hey, pretend like we have antennas," and that's how fast it happened.
Yeah, we're spur of the moment, Jess. We don't debate, we just do.
I don't know.
And that was Jessica's rant of the week.
It actually really bugged me. Like
she's been talking about it since she saw it.
All week, like, oh, just carrying a trash and antennas.
I don't know why the antennas bugged her so much, but that's hilarious to me.
I get what she's saying, though. It's funny when you think about like the things that people do before, like, you know, the discussion that happens before everyone decides to do the little group photo. Like, you guys ever seen those videos of, it's a video taken of someone waiting to get their picture taken. So you see how long they sit there with a goofy smile on their face before someone actually takes the snap. And those are hilarious videos to watch.
Yeah, or when someone like pretends they're going to take a picture, but they're really shooting a video and that person just sits there.
Yes.
I love those.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those are great. Okay.
Well, so you didn't go to 5 Points, George, but you got to see some pictures. Are you sad you didn't go?
No, I'm not sad I missed 5 Points. If I had won an award, I would have been sad to not be there, but since I lost, I'm fine. Very happy that Seriously Silly K won that award, though, in that category. There was only 2 there that I was like, if I lose, I want it to be one of these 2, and she was one of them, so that was good.
You won our prediction pool, though, George.
For what? I won the prediction pool?
No, you didn't win the prediction pool. Jordan Permy won the prediction pool. She got 11 out of 70 correct. But you were the ones that the people predicted to win the best sculpt of the year.
Oh, if only those people would have voted.
Well,
no,
it was the panel who picked George, so blame them.
Yeah, exactly. It was panel voted, so I can't complain. But they, like I said, there were two ahead of mine anyway, as far as I was concerned, and she was one. That one was one of the 2 ahead of me anyway.
Okay.
Well, George, you did semi-win because Great Showdowns won Best Non-Licensed, and you worked on that.
Yeah, but I can't take any credit for that. That's all Scott.
Yeah, but you're there behind the scenes, so congrats.
Thank you, but really thanks to Scott C.
Now, are you sculpting more? Are you sculpting more stuff for that line of Greatest Showdowns? I know there's probably more in the works.
I believe if you follow DKE Toys, which now has an Instagram
plug,
I believe they've shown the next a secret leak of the next figure.
Space Rat?
No, it's not. I didn't do a Space Rat.
Well, where's the sneak? Oh, is it this Wookiee?
I'm pretty sure he posted it. I believe it's up here.
It's not on DKE.
Oh, man. Am I going to have to delete all this? Sorry, DKE, about your plug.
You can keep the plug.
No, it's right here.
Where?
Go to the one that says Great Showdowns. It was he showing that they won that award, and it's the Bill Murray. Scroll. And scroll to the side, and you'll get a little secret treat.
Oh, who is this? I like the little hand with the face.
So that is the Ash from Evil Dead figure.
And what is the hand? Is it his hand?
Yeah, in the movie, his hand, he has to chop off his hand because the hand gets possessed.
Oh,
and then the hand attacks him.
I've never seen this movie.
You will not like it, but if you do watch it, watch Evil Dead 2, not Evil Dead 1, even though 1's the original. 2 is basically a remake of 1 when they knew a little bit more what they were doing.
It's just, if it's scary, I won't like it. And
you will definitely not like it. It is definitely scary, especially that movie. It's not it's not a Theresa movie.
It's probably not. But
and I wouldn't even assign it.
I want the little hand. They should sell the little hand separately. It's cute. want the little hand just sitting on my desk.
I don't think they'll sell you the hand separately.
All right, Gary, you want Ash? Will you give me the hand?
No, I will not give you a helping hand in this.
I know I didn't go to 5 points, but I did get to sit back in on Toy Geeks again when Ben went over his haul from 5 points. So I did get to hear stories, and I get to see a bunch of product. Have you guys seen that Cola cat?
Yes! It's so cute!
Yeah. I know Theresa was talking about she loved it before she got to the event, but then when she saw it in person, it was too big for her.
Yes, so when I saw it on Instagram, George, when I originally saw it, based on the box, I thought it was a blind box, and you would pull different colors. But I think instead the box was just showing you the different colorways they were going to make over time. And I think it was the Toy Tokyo booth that had it. And when I saw it, it was huge. We're talking, what, like 5-6 inch? But it was big, and that kind of turned me off because, I like smaller stuff. So I ended up not buying it. But it's still freaking adorable.
Yeah, I can agree with all that. I would like it. I think I would like it even better small.
Yeah, it's still great, though.
Yeah.
And that was the whole reason we started Toy Break years ago, is because you see these pictures online and you can never tell what the size of things are. That's happened so many times where I'm like, oh man, this thing's awesome, and you go to buy it and you get it and it's like, whoa, this was way smaller or way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And it's always so disappointing.
Well, that was one thing we were talking about last week when we were kind of wrapping up the Designer Toy Awards, George, is honestly most of the panel, I guess one of the gripes was that Takashi Murakami's Mr. Dobb won Toy of the Year. And a lot of people were saying that was horrible QC on it in the first round. And I guess maybe they ended up fixing them and then resending them out with nice QC. But a lot of people were shocked that they ended up winning. And that's one of the things we were kind of explaining on the show last week was most of the panel has never seen the majority of these toys in person. We were only basing it off of what photo was uploaded by a nominee, or maybe we saw a photo on a toy blog or something, or Instagram, but usually most of us have never seen the stuff in hand that we're voting on.
Yeah, that's true. And, a lot of those pictures in that, like the ones that were up there for one you were voting, some of the pictures were terrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like there were things that were like that one originally of Seriously Silly K's what's that guy called? Freckle or whatever he's called, the little sculpt.
Yep.
That first picture they showed up there, it was like a rainbow vinyl version and you can't even see the sculpture.
Right.
And it was why is this picture here? Like I'm glad she was able to update it and put up the sculpt because you couldn't even tell what it was.
Yeah, totally agree. And that was one of my big gripes too is I get part of it is they want people submitting nominations, try to help curate those photos. But so many times the photos weren't great, or it was just like a picture of a person. So like Artist of the Year is just the person. It's like, I don't even know everything you made this year. Like how am I supposed to really
they need a committee, like whoever's the committee that like puts that whole thing together really needs to get like, I don't know, even just get an intern or something that could go through and get better images of everything and really focus that. I agree with that Artist of the Year thing. It was just a bunch of people I don't even know or never heard of. Like, and it's a picture of them like at a convention somewhere. It's like, who is this and what do they do? I don't know who this person is.
Exactly. So.
But there's always going to be little gripes on that kind of stuff, I think.
I know. I was going to say, I poor Clutter probably thinks we're just beating up on them, and we're not. We love you, Clutter.
No, so George, today on the Marsham Toy Hour Facebook group, I posted the question of this is the 8th year that they've done Designer Toy Awards, and I asked what do you think after 8 years? Is the format still working? And what suggestions do you have to help improve it? And I thought it was going to be this good discussion of both positive and negative comments, but the thread mainly became just a focus on just the night of the ceremony itself, and a lot of people just don't seem to think that's really working. And I don't, George, if you ever been to one of the events, but the past 2 years, it really seems like most of the audience isn't even paying attention. And Theresa and I were talking about, for the seriousness and all the time and the effort that goes into it, for the month leading up to the event, like the judging is super serious, but for some reason when you get to the event, it's just like people are barely even focused on what's going on stage. They're more talking to each other or mingling around. So on the thread today, it was it was kind of more about trying to think of ways to
improve
upon the award, but it really just felt. Theresa, I just ended up just feeling weighed down. I feel like everything I was saying was just coming across as negative, and I don't want Clutter to feel that negativity because it's so easy to hear only the negativity, not the positive. I mean, they're doing great work, but I really do think when it comes to the ceremony, there's ways to improve it that just aren't happening. And I think what it is I think they're overextended. They're focused on 5 points in the event, but they're also doing this Designer Toy Awards the exact same evening of, right up until the 5 points. And it just needs to be delegated to someone else who can professionally manage the awards separate from what's going on at 5 points.
They're also trying to make it an awards, like an Oscars kind of thing, but what they're trying to do is have a party, and those two things are not the same thing. Like there's a reason that at the Oscars they don't, like, there's no drinking, or is it the Oscars or the Emmys? One of them, there's no drinking at the ceremony. You go to the ceremony, you sit there, you're in your little tux, you're in your little suit, and it's an award thing. It's very serious. They go up, they do their thanks, and then afterwards there's after parties, and everybody goes and does partying. You don't mix the two. No one's going to pay attention to the awards if there's a bar and there's, like, it's basically like music in a bar playing. Like no one, like everyone's from out of town. They want to hang out. They want to talk to each other. You have to split the two. You have to choose what your event is.
Totally agree. That was actually some of the feedback I shared last episode, George, is that I almost feel like they need to just do the awards first and the party after or something. Because, like sit down or something. And I feel like a lot of people don't want it to be super formal, but I feel like that's the way they're going to have to go, is add some formality to it. But in general, like the thread, I think it was a really good conversation, Gary. I felt kind of exhausted and like a Debbie Downer. I was like, oh man, I feel bad because I feel like all I'm doing is just saying like, fix this or fix that. And it's so funny because actually Kyle came on and just posted, Gary, so what do we think has gone well?
I really?
It's so bad.
No, I haven't seen that comment yet. No, that does make me feel bad because that was not the intention of the thread. I was hoping just to help with constructive criticism, but I feel terrible that's the way they're reading it.
Well, that's the thing. No one's going to sit around and bitch about all the good things. Like, that's not, you're not, no one's going to sit, like, no one's going to put their 2 cents in about all the good things that happened. Like, the good things are personal. The good things are, you guys are hanging out. You're like the good times you had talking to your people you're there with. No one's going to sit around and talk about the good things. That's not what the internet's for. The internet's for bitching.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Like, it's not that people don't like the DTAs. My biggest thing is I know how much work goes into it, so I want to make sure that there's respect and attention given to the actual ceremony. And what can we do to make that better and make that happen? So
you guys were both there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I didn't listen to the past episode. Maybe you've already talked about this. How was the host?
I thought he was okay, but I'm kind of of the opinion, George, that I don't really know if we need to get an outsider host. Like, I don't see why we couldn't just get someone in the scene to go up there and do it. But I don't know. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I think I would prefer to see someone that I recognize up on stage, someone that carries a little respect or is very knowledgeable in the designer toy scene to help the other presenters pronounce things or just be able to navigate things better. I think this year's hosts did a good job. I mean, honestly, I couldn't hear him a lot of the time, but I heard he was knowledgeable in the toy scene, so I'm sure everything he said was fine. But for me, I think if they're paying the hosts, I put that money towards a better sound system or seating or something like that. Because last year it was Morgan Spurlock, and this year it was a comedian, and maybe they're being super generous with their time and not taking a payment. But I have to imagine they are, and I would like to see that money maybe could be applied, somewhere else. Because this year the sound system didn't seem to be very loud, and the stage was quite low. It was actually quite hard to see the presenters in the screen, and I think that combination of low volume and hard to see just made it a lot easier for the crowd just to turn to the person next to them and carry a conversation instead.
Yeah, and once somebody starts talking and the next guy starts talking, it just gets that louder and louder and louder. It's just like, forget it. Like, you've lost it now.
Yep. And you saw that. They would have to get on stage, I think, 2 or 3 times and ask people to please be quiet. And so, yeah, it's I don't know what to say. I mean, I think the venue itself was good. I just think maybe you just need to get a little more seating area in there, and that might actually help cut down on some of the walking around and mingling that people do.
Didn't they have a panel area at the convention with like seats and programming
and
stuff?
It was very small, George. It wouldn't have worked. It's just a small room. Yeah, but it's a good thought. We were actually talking about that, George. Is there a way to repurpose the expo venue as a space for the awards?
It really should be. I mean, it should be part of the whole thing. There should be a ballroom that you rent in the convention center you're in that you host the event at. Like, there should be. It should. If they want this thing to be taken seriously, they should take it seriously and have it look respectable. Yeah. There needs to be production value in it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. I mean, I kind of equate it to, you go to a movie, you're going to watch a movie. You're going to a play, you're going to watch a play. You go to other award ceremonies, you're going to watch the awards. You're not going to talk to your neighbor or drink or what have you. You know, you're going to watch the thing. So I think we can find a way to get people to go watch the thing and then go hang out and mingle after. It's going to help a lot. As far as where they do it and how they do it, I mean, again, I know that it's just a handful of people trying to coordinate all this. You have budgets to worry about and all of that, but I feel like that's the biggest thing, is to try to
3-hour event. That's like as long as the Oscars are. Like,
I know, and it doesn't even need to be that long. That's the thing. Is like I don't know. I think because of the way that it's done, and again, I feel like I'm sounding so down about this, but a lot of it's kind of impromptu, and sometimes the computer messes up, or someone doesn't know what they're saying, or they put in a weird intermission with beatboxers. I mean, there's a lot of like just things that they could probably adjust, or like videos are shown that we really don't need. So I don't know. It's not bad. I like the DTAs. I just want I want it to be a better focus for everyone watching, to be able to really be there to watch the awards.
I agree. I feel absolutely horrible talking about it, because I think we're really giving off that, you know, like you said, Kyle posted, like, what have you liked about it the past several years? So I was like, oh, God, okay.
I know.
No, and it shouldn't be taken like that from Clutter. Like, we're not ragging on it.
We want to help.
The only reason we're even talking about it is because we enjoy it. Like, it's like, if we hated it, we would just ignore it, and it would, you know, we wouldn't even care. Like, it's only because we care about it that we want to see things improve. And when you want to see things improve, you talk about the things that are wrong.
Right, exactly. And that's all I thought the thread was going to be. You just wanted to share our experiences and then share any ideas that we think could help improve it. That's all.
Good idea, though, Gary.
Our job is not to come up with the ideas. Our job is to bitch and let them figure out how to fix it.
Oh, man. At the end of the day, we love you, Clutter. We just try to give some constructive feedback.
Yeah.
To take it.
Just stop partying so damn much. It's not a party. It's business. Sorry.
So.
I think this year they did try to make it less of a party, but I think it's still backfired. It's just they need to tighten the bolts down. Get it down. Get a tight time frame, an hour and a half for the ceremony. Save an hour, maybe 2 hours after that for an after party, and there's your event.
Yep.
Well, it's also hard because you can't. It would be hard to do a ceremony and then an after party, because by the time you get to the after party, you got to remember that most of those people are vendors, and they got to be there in the morning to vend. So it's like, do they want to stay up till 4 a.m. at after parties and then come in at 8 and vend? It's like, that's tough.
But the event supposed to start at 7. I think it ran till around 11. If they start it on time and do the awards in an hour and a half, it's only 8:30. That gives people an hour and a half or so to hang out and talk.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to stop.
So, I mean,
we need to stop, because I can hear Clutter yelling at us with their speakers. and they're yelling loud that we don't know what we're talking about, and that they work long and hard on this stuff.
I know.
Believe me, I know how much work it is to throw these events. I've seen Ben. I've seen it, for years doing decon, and I know what goes into making this stuff happen, and it's a lot of work. Plus, they have the whole thing of figuring out all the winners and the whole, counting and the votes and the getting the trophies made, and it's a huge amount of work. So as they, but for 8 years in, you could figure out a way to make it a little less rambunctious and a little more awardy.
Yeah. It's part of, like, we know that work, and we want the end result to kind of be that cherry on top. Like, we want it to, like, all this culmination should be this, like, big, cool award thing. Not that it's not cool.
Everyone should have to come black tie.
They come black shirt.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It's a sea of black shirts in the audience.
I know. God, I stand out so bad in my non-black shirt in toy events.
Black shirt and cargo pants.
Oh man. Anyway, let's move on. No more of this. But speaking of 5 points in the panel room, George, we actually totally forgot to talk about the panel we sat on when Superplastic came and Josh Atten talked with Huck and Paul for about an hour on, what was it, the first day, Saturday?
Yeah, no, it was Saturday at 3 p.m. and it was good.
But yeah, it was good.
Did they say Huck's last name in person?
They did.
It's G?
No, it's G, like the letter G.
Oh, G? Shoot, yep. I still don't know it. Sorry.
I was paying attention just for you, George. But no, it was good. So Josh Kingberg, he was the one that was hosting the event, and for some reason, I wasn't expecting it to be a hosted, Q&A sort of thing. I thought it was going to be mainly Huck and Paul up there, kind of doing like a PowerPoint presentation, talking about, them forming Superplastic, what's been going on the past 9 months or so, and how the campaign was ran, and what might be ahead for the foreseeable future. But no, it was actually hosted by Josh Kimberg. It was more of a Q&A, talking about a brief history of the old Kid Robot days and Huck shuttering the doors to now them forming Superplastic.
Actually, if people are interested, Gary Runzowski from Toy Chronicle filmed the whole thing, and if you go to their Facebook page and their video section, you can actually watch the whole panel. We were dying because so he's sitting there the whole time, George, for an hour plus with his hand in the air, straight up holding his phone because he needed to get it above the crowd, and alternating hands. And while doing it, I swear to God, he was falling asleep.
He didn't bring a tripod?
No.
Amateur hour.
But we were sitting right next to him, so we had the side profile of him. Clearly, his eyes were closed majority of the time.
Well, he'll watch it later.
Yeah.
Should we say, because you're talking about Superplastic, the campaign by the time this comes out has already ended, and they broke $500,000. They're well over.
I know.
Is
that not insane?
Amazing.
So,
it's at currently 516K with 22 hours ago.
Not too shabby.
Whew.
It's gonna probably reach over 550,000. I wouldn't be surprised. I imagine the last tonight's Thursday, maybe tomorrow, Friday, they're gonna release something for the last sort of thing to maybe kind of push it over the top. So we don't know what the final number is, but we have some good guesses, and we put up on day one, we asked people in our Facebook group, what do they think the final funding is going to be? And we actually had a few people guess in this range. So Carlos East was at 500,000, another person was at 537,000, so it's probably going to be one of them. And so the winner of that is going to get a custom one-off sprayed painted version of Logan. So Logan's something that I designed that Ryan Rutherford helped me with, and we released it last year at 5 Points Fest. And so Don Dada Doug Kratzer took a couple of those back with him to Japan, and he had the very popular and famous painter out there of Sofubi. His name is Goto-san. So Goto-san painted up a couple Logans, and we're going to give one of those away to the winners of this prediction pool.
I think that's actually a super fun prize, and I don't know, it's crazy. I was really, really, really pumped and high on this project when it first came out. So, I mean, now that we're about a month in, the hype has died a little bit for me, but I'm still excited and very happy for them. It's kind of crazy. But while we were at the panel, George, we were really good. We were in there as press, George, and as press, we asked questions. I was proud of us. We raised our hand.
We participated.
And we asked questions.
What'd you ask? What was your question?
So my question, I was curious if they ever plan to do any DIY jankies, because being that Paul's history was the dunny and he refused to do DIY dunnies, I wondered if he was going to carry that through. And he confirmed that yes, there's no plans for a DIY janky. He does not want it to be considered a DIY platform. But he did say they plan to do a DIY platform down the road that will be something different. And then, go ahead, Gary, you asked a question too.
I did, and mine was a real, it was a hard-hitting question. Basically, I asked, there was this jumble that they did several months ago, and we solved a bunch of the names, and we noticed that 3 of the names that we solved for were not in the Janky Series 1. So I basically stood up and asked, there's 3 names that we solved for, they're not in this series. What are your intentions with those? Or are they just not being used? And they said that, yeah, they're still going to be used probably for Series 2 or upcoming projects with Superplastic. And the 3 names that came up were Gorillas, DJ Qbert, and then one that we never solved for, Crafty O'Danish. And Huck was not willing to tell us who that was.
Yep.
Nice.
So, yeah. Look at us. Aren't you proud of us, George? We were all pressy and everything.
Good questions. You didn't ask them why they chose Janky when there's already a Janky Toys?
No. No. And I'll tell you why, George, because we sat there and watched Gary Rosansky ask the question of what's up with the dead bunny slippers, because we all know what Gary Rosansky was alluding to. He wanted to know if it was dead dunny slippers and what did the real hidden meaning behind that mean. And Huck and Paul danced. They did a big dance number, just tap dancing around that question, and we didn't get a real answer from them out of it. So I knew if I asked that janky question, we wouldn't get an answer either.
Why would they dance around it? Just say it. You're doing it.
They laughed. If you go back and watch the video, you'll see their like nervous laughs and eyes to each other, and they wouldn't say, yeah, it's a dead dunny, but like their eyes and laughs basically told us that it's a dead dunny. Dead dunny bunny.
Come on, be a man, say it.
I know. But no, I actually didn't even think about the janky piece. And there were more questions. Gary and I were chatting, but we were kind of hard to slip them in. And we actually chatted a little bit afterwards, went up and said hi. And I was curious if they were if Superplastic was going to let other stores sell the products, or if they were only going to sell direct. And I think they're still working through a lot of those decisions. So I'm sure there's plenty more news to come.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's cool. It's good to know that this is just the beginning. I mean, with the amount they raised, I'm sure they have a nice little funding capital now.
Yeah. I can't believe it's almost over. And now we have to wait for...
Now you wait another half a year.
Yep.
Darn it.
The waiting is almost beginning.
So, George, what do you think? Now that they ran
great.
an amazing campaign, huge success, do you think this has lifted the stigma off of Kickstarter a little bit?
Is there still a stigma? I mean, I guess there still is.
No, I think there is as far as designer toys go. I mean, think about it. We haven't seen that many companies and established artists using it. It's mainly been up-and-comers. I mean, I know recently Monkey King used it to help fund the Luke Chu animation project, and it funded, but outside of that, I can't think of too many established people really using it in our scene. And with probably 2 of the most renowned and respected figures in our toy scene, Huck G and Paul Budness, now using it, I think that's only going to open eyes to the world of Kickstarter, especially with how well and how successful they were. I think probably that's just going to end up paving the way for a lot more companies and artists using it going forward. If anything is going to hold them back is maybe they're going to feel like copycats at first, but I think it's only going to happen.
I don't know why everybody isn't. It's proof if your design is good enough or not.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Go
Just
ahead.
use Kickstarter.
Yeah. I hope there's not a stigma, and if there was one, it's now gone, because I like Kickstarters too as a collector. So do them. But I just hope, I know they did some really cool things with social media and their challenges and all that. And it could be cool to see other people do them, but do your own thing. Don't try to be Superplastic. You know,
Well,
like they did their
that's a
thing
marketing
for
firm.
years.
That's a marketing firm they hired. There's like, because that's the exact same campaign that the Exploding Kittens did. Like that whole thing, like everything they did is the same thing Exploding Kittens did. So you can't say that was them inventing that. That's just a marketing firm getting involved and telling them what to do and how to make this thing viral like that.
Okay.
So they weren't the first to do it. They won't be the last to do it. Because it's a really smart way to get people involved and coming back to your campaign the entire month.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because I definitely saw like social media ads and sponsored things, and there was obviously some money backing it to help promote it, and I wonder how much that helped, boost its initial visibility.
I'm sure it was huge. I mean, there was a huge marketing push behind this campaign. That was not that did not get to where it was by just the design of a janky.
I'm going to do some math right now. So currently, the pledge is $516,029 divided by 3,647 backers. The average backer spent $141.
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably right.
That's really good.
I know I'm below average.
I was average, and then I just dropped mine down.
I changed mine, I think 3 times total too.
So you backed it, George?
Originally, on the first day, I backed it for that Maximilian guy, and then they just started adding more Maximilians, and then I saw the thing about like there's no limited, like it's so unlimited, like that I'm just like, forget it. Like I'm just gonna go and get the regular janky for now.
Now you're not a guy that cares about limited though.
No, but it's going to be one of those things that's like, there's going to be so many of them that I was just like, I'm not interested in it anymore. Like, I was only interested in it because I really liked the colors and the design. Then they made a second version, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not interested in it anymore. So I just got the regular, just the little initial pack with the King Janky, the first and the second.
Okay.
So that seems so contradictory to other things I've heard you say, George, how you're like, edition size doesn't matter. If you like it, just buy it. But there
was something about the way they posted it that made me, they dug on Kickstarter in the posts, and I was just like, you know what? No, I don't like you digging on Kickstarter when you're using it to do this. Like there's way, like, cause they were saying something like there's no way to like set the actual right limit. And they were saying like Kickstarter doesn't know how to do this and like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? No, you're going to talk shit on Kickstarter while you're using it to raise this money. Like, I'm not into it.
I think it's hard because they're letting people do add-ons. So, like, there is a level for Maximilian Cash, but I could technically go take my level and just drop $75 on it. Just, like, add-on money. Yeah. And then afterwards I say, oh, that was for this. That was for Autumn Maximilian Cash. Like, I put that on forever ago. I know you said it was sold out, but, like, that's the one I wanted. So I think that's part of the issue. And it's actually going to be really interesting. Like, I feel for them because managing these, 3,500 people and all of their add-ons and everything they've done, it's going to be work. Yeah.
And there was also there was some kind of poster. It was either a poster or an email or something they sent out where they were trying to say they were the most funded toy Kickstarter. And it's like, guys, do you not even do you know nothing about toy Kickstarters? Have you done no research? Like, you're nowhere near the most funded toy Kickstarter. Like, so just they were starting to turn me off with certain things they were doing. And like, so I just dropped it down. They don't need my money.
Do you know who the most funded toy is?
Well, there was I know the Horseman made like 1.4 million. Jeez. And Boss Fight also made $1 million on one of theirs. Like,
wow.
It's like there has been multiple like toy Kickstarters that are over $1 million.
Now, George, can you explain something to me? Having used Kickstarter, a lot of people are looking at this campaign and going, "Oh man, they're killing it. They made tons of money." But so you know about the percentages taken out and having to hire a marketing company, and a lot of this goes into shipping and producing the toys and pad printing and all that sort of stuff. Like, are they making a killing? Yeah, they made over $500,000, but
no,
they're probably not making huge profit on this in the end result, right?
Especially when they have, what did you say the backer number was? Not the amount they made, but the people backing, 3,000
Yeah,
something?
all said and done, we'll probably end up being around 3,700 backers.
Now think about that. 3,700 people, and each one of them is getting a shipment that's going to cost minimum $6.
Oh, minimum.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just for the small stuff. Like if any, like you said, anybody over $100, their shipment's going to cost probably double that, maybe 12, 13. Now that's only in the US. Anybody overseas, that shipment's going to bump up to, I don't know, $30 to $50. Now, if there's 3,000 backers and you have 1,000 of them that are overseas at $50 a package, that's $50,000 off your thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good point, because we did have to include shipping costs in our pledge, but all that's part of that price, that $516.
Yeah, like even though you paid for it, and it's exactly that, it's all in there, and that that $516 automatically gets 10% off. That's $50,000 gone right there, right? Yep. 50,000 is 10% of 500, right?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And then probably another 10% to the marketing company, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know what they're paying for marketing, but I mean, at least so right there, your 500,000 gets 10% off the top, then your shipping costs off the top. So it's like you're not raking in the money, it's still, and the amount of stuff that they're making, like they kept adding more figures, they kept adding bunny slippers, they added those extra 8-inch dudes, like it's a lot. Like they're making a lot. So we knew they already had funding from something else, and this was a marketing thing anyway. So like it worked. Everything this campaign was for was basically a commercial.
Yeah.
That's really what it boiled down to, because we knew that 25, even if they got 25,000, that wasn't enough to make anything that they were making anyway. So they obviously have funding from somewhere else.
It was kind of funny when during the panel, the Superplastic panel, they were talking about, we all know that Huckchi, shuttered his doors, and he was thinking about, what's going to be next in his life. And I think he went a couple of weeks just kind of hanging around the house and stuff like that. And then he ended up calling up Paul, and, at one point Huck was kind of joking about, maybe he's going to end up, going to work at, some warehouse store somewhere or something like that. And, sure enough, then he ends up talking to Paul, and Paul seems interested in doing toys again. And then now here we are. It seems like, they're on top of the world again.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be cool to see how they branch this out and what they do with it. Now that they've once this comes out next January, like what's the next? Because that's all people care about is what's the next thing they're about to make. Right. Now that this is funded, before that even comes out, people will be like, well, what are you doing now? What's next? It's well, wait, let us make this first.
Now, George, when something funds us well, let's say their second release, are we expecting it to go Kickstarter, or do you think they should self-fund the second project? How does that work?
I mean, for me, I'd say just keep going Kickstarter, but that all depends on if they want to put all that time and energy in. It's a huge amount of work to run that Kickstarter. So, I mean, obviously, if they want to get a marketing team in again, someone else can run it like that. But I don't think they should be expected to have to fund it all themselves if they want to do another Kickstarter. I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, but thinking about what's next and all that, I'm not like, oh, you should start going ahead and teasing other things, because they've teased a lot. But I'm really excited to actually see pieces in hand, see the level of quality they're going to produce to, and see how well they're going to match the 3D renderings, how well the pad printing will be, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's the
thing, is there's a lot of detail in a lot of those pieces. Right. It's are they going to be able to pull that off? That's what we got to wait and see.
So that to me is the next exciting piece, is actually seeing pieces in hand and seeing all these pictures we've been looking at for the past few months or whatever, and actually see them in person and see if they've maintained that quality that we've seen through all these renderings.
It's not going to match the 3D rendering, and that is pristine and polished, but hopefully it's better than quality control we see from most factories. Huck is, at least with his own personal work, he was adamant about having really great quality, and I imagine, being a part of this company and being in charge of the creative division and all that, I hope he's going to apply that towards the finished product of their vinyl toys as well. I would think so.
Right. Quality is obviously just an important thing for me. I'm excited, and so I really hope that they're done well.
Yeah. And then there's the other thing that we were talking about, Theresa, and this is pretty interesting, George, that we were looking at a couple Extreme Funko Fanatic Instagram accounts, and we noticed that they're also supporting the janky. George, if you went to their feeds, you don't see any designer toys anywhere in their feeds. It's almost all Funko product. And then all of a sudden this campaign happens, and next thing you know, they're posting about the campaign.
Like a janky challenge.
Yeah, they're participating in the janky challenges, and some of them actually posted that, hey, I just backed this thing, check it out. And so I really think this might be the gateway for a lot of other collectors to, finally start noticing what we're doing in the world of designer toys. We actually saw a couple of memes sort of mention that sort of very thing, like, oh my God, I thought I knew toys until I discovered designer toys. So it's pretty awesome, the reach of this campaign.
Yeah, it'd be great to cross over some of those Funko collectors.
Yeah. And I think that's where part of that social media, the way that they were sponsoring ads and targeting probably helped pull them in. And I've got to believe there's no way without Funko, I don't know. I guess our scene could have got it this far, but I know that they had.
There's no way our scene could have gotten this funded this big. Our scene is not this big. Our scene does not give a crap about anything. This was not our scene. This was opening it up to all new people, which is awesome. Especially seeing who cares what that 500,000 number? It's the 3,000 number that I'm really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's great. I hope I know how our scene can be. From what I can tell, Paul and Huck are super positive. They don't care who you are. They just want you to love toys and love their stuff. So I think they've been really open in that way. So that excites me personally to not see any of that kind of Funko hate or whatever. So I think it's great. I love that more people are getting pulled in. It's exciting for me because maybe I can start to, because I actually am in, there's a Kentucky Funko group on Facebook, and so I follow it and try to stay in the loop. I don't collect a ton, but I collect a little. And that was actually where I saw someone post, actually, it was so cool, to see them talking about the janky campaign in this group that I've never really been able to talk about designer toys with because they just never get it. And so it was so exciting to see that and see them being like, oh my God, what is this stuff? And I didn't even know. And oh my gosh, there's all this other stuff out there, and this is so dangerous for my wallet. And I was super excited, trying not to be crazy and be like, oh my God.
Now you got to check out the VAG line.
Yeah. Oh my God, go look at my Instagram, go look at this, But it's no, I kept my chill, but still, it's very exciting to see stuff like that and maybe see our worlds and paths cross a little bit more and boost up our scene. And
I'm excited for it.
All that good. Yeah.
And so any of those new people, eyeballs on the designer toy scene, just now discovering our podcast, well, we have some great sponsors for you. So for all your designer toy needs, wants, and desires, we got two wonderful stores, 3dretro.com, and 3D Retro is also a brick and mortar location out there in Burbank adjacent Southern California. So if you're in the area, be sure to check that out. It's a beautiful store, lots of great stuff. And there's also StrangeCatToys.com. If you go to StrangeCatToys.com, load up that cart, and be sure to use the promo code SOTheresa, all one word, SOTHERESA, and you will receive 10% off your entire order. And to stay on top of all the latest and greatest designer toy news, be sure to like and follow two wonderful toy blogs, SpankyStokes.com and thetoychronicle.com. And if you want your news on the go, be sure to download the Toy Chronicles app at any one of your favorite application stores. So we've been talking about Funko quite a bit this episode. So here's a question for you guys. What if I was to tell you that Funko all of a sudden now has a designer toy division, and we're going to start seeing them releasing designer toys through Funko? Do you think our toy scene would embrace that?
Yeah, I think so, because there's a lot of that stuff that they already do that crosses over into our, into our stuff. Like they did that vinyl one. What was it? Was it Vinyl Line, or what was that one? That was there were those real stylized movie characters.
Is it Vinyl via VNYL?
Well, I know they did that, right? But then there was
Yeah.
one before that where it was like, I think it was like some UK based artist, and like he was posting these cool images, and then Funko was like, hey, we like those, we want to make
You're
it.
talking about Vinyl Idols. That's what they're called.
Yes.
That's it.
That's what they were. But you know, they have kind of, I wouldn't say they dipped their toes into designer toys, because they're not
I don't think they have.
really doing. They haven't, but I think their first start of that is the Wetmore Forest. Like,
Yeah, they
that's
have those
their-
like Chris Reiniak ripoff ones that are like,
Oh gosh,
Oh,
don't
gosh.
call them that.
George, so they have the Series 2 coming out, and I know what you're talking about, the Reiniak thing. So, but Series 2,
It's good.
no, it's great, and there's nothing. I don't see anything resemblance to Chris Reiniak in that one. So I understand the first one. Maybe there was one or maybe two, and maybe the naming convention. But other than that, nah.
Yeah, but they've deviated. I think it's different, but I can see. I mean, that to me is their first step into kind of their own original stuff. So the fact that they're starting that, I don't think it's too off base to say it's possible they continue to push and grow it. Now it's still pop, like it's still the signature pop style.
now those kind of things like what is it, Wetmore Forest? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Like,
Yeah. Wetmore
okay,
Forest.
so Wetmore
They're
Forest is kind of that perfect way for them to kind of backdoor into their own property, like where they make a cartoon based on that and then be their own, IP, so they can have their own property like that and then license it out to other people to make things, which would be an interesting way for them to go. I could see them trying to do something like that before they jump into like traditional like 3D retro style art toys.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
Martian toys where it's like they go to an artist and make an artist's work into 3D, like what we would consider an art toy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no reason they would ever do that. There's no, like, unless it's like someone who's huge and who has a big enough following, like it would have to be like a Mark Ryden or something like that, where they've got enough of a following to make it worth selling 10,000 pieces of something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, because I mean they have a collection of artists designing everything behind the scenes, so I could see them wanting to tap into the base of artists they already have first.
Right. No, I can't really picture them going designer toys. I mean, we're real limited, kind of expensive in price. They're more focused on mainstream, keeping things really affordable, $20 and under. And if they did break into our scene a little bit, I can see them doing something like, George, you're talking about your greatest showdowns. I can see them maybe reaching out to a Scott C and saying, hey, you're doing an amazing thing with pop culture. Like, come join us and let us help you produce your toys. That I can sort of see. But, George, so earlier you're talking about the Wetmore Forest and how you kind of saw Reiniak in there. And it's kind of interesting. I know people were saying that. At the same time, I wonder... I bet, and I'm curious, and I don't know if you would ever tell me, but I would be curious, like, since Wetmore Forest has been released by Funko, I wonder if Chris has seen any sort of significant jump in his collector base.
I will tell you, he has in some way, because I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it? Like through social media and
I've
stuff?
seen it. There is. So one of, there's this girl, Natasha, from... I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name, from Canada, and I met her through being a Chris Reiniak fan, and she actually used to have a Instagram called Just Funko Pop, and she got into Chris's work and now is full-fledged into the designer toy world.
Cool.
So I know for a fact that it has happened, that there's been a little bit of a bridge there. I don't know how significant it is, but it has happened. So maybe in a way it was a positive thing, but I hate that comparison because I kind of see it, but I don't think there was any intent there.
Oh,
for
I'm sure
that
it wasn't.
overlap.
I don't think it was like someone sitting there maliciously going, ha ha ha, I'm going to steal Chris Reiniak's things. It's just two people are into the same kind of design aesthetic. It happens. That's.
Yeah.
I don't think it was malicious at all.
Yeah. You know, it's really intriguing to think about Funko doing like low runs, because I see what it's like to buy stuff from them online for thousands upon thousands of pieces and how quickly it sells out. I I just imagine if they did that, and I think it's a very big if and probably not possible, but if they did like a run of 100 or something, good God.
Forget about it. It would sell out so fast.
Right? Yeah. Oh, they'd have to do lotteries or something, but man, I mean, unless, of course, like their collector base just wasn't feeling it at all. But, God, that would be a nightmare.
It would be bad. It would be bad. I mean, it reminds me kind of like when Mondo started getting into designer toys a little bit. Remember, like, they started doing, like, the, they came in first with the Ninja Turtle, the Mike Mitchell designed Ninja Turtle, and then the Iron Giant. And, they came from a background of limited edition, posters based on pop culture. And, like, their stuff always extreme sells out in minutes. And so when they started getting into toys, I kind of saw it going that same sort of route. But as far as like Funko, it's just a hypothetical. I was just really wondering what you guys thought if they ever decided to dip their toes into designer toys, knowing how our scene could sometimes be towards them. I wonder if you thought that we could ever embrace them initially. And personally, I think there would be a lot of griping, there would be a lot of hesitancy for sure. But I think if they did it right, if they did actually use the right artists and, had high quality product, yeah, sure, I could see it swaying minds and people starting to, open their eyes to them doing designer toys.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting, like, Mondo was different because they were doing designer toy-esque type stuff, but still licensed. And so it I would like to see if Funko were to do it, or Mono to keep doing it, to do some non-licensed stuff. Like, don't just make your version of Captain America, as artsy as you can.
So if it's licensed, can you consider it designer toy? Art toy?
I would say no. But people may hate me for that because we have a freaking licensed toy category in the DTAs.
I have a tough time getting there myself. I mean, I understand that, Tara McPherson's done her version of, Wonder Woman and Brant Peters.
Yeah. That doesn't make that Wonder Woman a designer toy. That makes that designer toy artist a licensed toy artist now.
It's kind of both. I personally prefer, designer toys being an original design by artists, but I don't know. That's a kind of a gray area for me.
I mean, I'm with you, Gary. What appeals to me so much about our scene is the fact that it's all like made up creations from these artists' heads. That's what I love about it. It's like I look at my collection and I'm like, these things don't exist in real life or on TV or in Target. Like, they're just this guy or this girl came up with this cool idea. But there are some stuff that has been licensed that are very artistic. Like, so it's a tricky line.
So let me ask you this then. So do you look at a company, say like an Instinct Toy or an Unbox, being more designer toy than, say, a Kid Robot? Because let's face it, Kid Robot isn't producing that much original content anymore. They're probably 90% pop culture based, and then the rest is essentially dunnies. Original content is not that huge with them anymore. So do you see Unbox and Instinct Boy being more so than Kid Robot?
Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, Kid Robot has designer toys, but in comparison to Unbox and Instinct Toy, I think Unbox and Instinct Toy are definitely doing more. I wish Kid Robot would do more, but I know Kid Robot, the licensed stuff sells for them. Right. They got to do it. You got to make the money. You got to pay the bills. So if that's what sells, that's what sells. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, again, that's another way I think other people out there might bridge their gap from whatever they're into the designer toy world. So I don't think it's a bad thing. But
now
but yeah,
at the panel, Theresa, did they say that Superplastic would do any licensing?
I can't remember if we talked about asking that question or if someone else asked it. I think it did come up. It did come up, and I'm trying to remember specifically what they said.
Yeah, me too.
I think they said...
It's vague to me.
I'm pretty sure it was discussed, and for sure, if you go back and rewatch it, I'm sure we'd see it. But my hunch is, I recall them saying it's not a thing they're interested in. Like, people can do it, and that's fine, but that's not for them. Something to that effect.
Kind of how I remember it, too. Okay.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I mean, you're more into, I think, licensed stuff than maybe me, George. I mean, am I offending people by saying I don't think licensed stuff is truly art designer toy-esque things?
Nah, who cares? It's just our opinion. Who cares if we offend people?
I don't like offending. I like to be, I don't know, ball of positivity.
You're such a snob, Theresa.
Although
Jeez.
I'm not.
I've been offending people with my opinion for 12 years online. It's fine.
I'm not a snob,
I'm
Gary.
joking.
That's terrible.
A little poking in the
Go
fire.
cry now.
All right. Let's
Well, hey, this has been a fun episode.
We did a
Off the
thing
cuff.
off the cuff when Ben canceled on us.
We
Freaking
did a thing.
Ben.
I feel bad. I hope he feels bad. I totally get it. Oh,
He
Gary,
owes us some good scoops.
Hell yeah, he does.
I know.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait. But George, I got full on con crud post 5 points. I was out that next week. I was just couch ridden. It sucked. So I feel for him. Get better, Ben. Feel better.
I think a few people did. I saw Carlos was actually down right afterwards too.
Yeah, we did. I think. So while we were at 5 points, George, Gary kept going, "Oh man, where's Purell? Do you have any Purell? We need to find Purell." And I'm like, "What is your ish?" Like, I'm not even thinking about it. But then I got
And
sick.
who's the one
so
that
I'm
got
like,
sick? That's right.
I know. So I'm like, all right, maybe you had a point. Maybe I need to bring some hand sanitizer next time. Because
Oh, wait.
No.
While we're talking about 5 points real quick, I want to interject this. I need to give a shout out to Sholee because he muled some stuff for me and sent it out from 5 points. So thank you, Sholee.
Nice. Yeah, you could ask me, George.
Yeah, I could ask you guys, but Sholee hit me up like right after Ken had texted me and told me about this pin. Like literally 5 minutes later, Sholee hit me up and said, "Do you want anything from 5 points?" And I was like, "Wow, this is like perfect timing." And I just because I was gonna ask you to do it, and then he just asked me, so I just had him do it.
Okay. Well, if you ever need me, I'm available in the future. And Theresa, I know that you did some muling this year at 5 points, and you were getting contacted quite a bit initial on. Did people end up laying off towards the end there?
no, people did not lay off.
How much did you mule?
Well, at the end of the day, I didn't do too much, but I feel like before the event, I tend to get attacked a bit. Not attacked, that's probably the wrong word, but it does get a little bit overwhelming because approached. And like, I don't mind it because you know me, I'm nice, I like to help. But at the same time, like, I'm prepping for the trip. I'm trying to figure out what I want. And then, of course, my trip was insane. It sucks because releases and information is coming out like the day before the event still. And so it can be tricky. And I felt a little overwhelmed because at one point I was like, oh my gosh, like, can I do this? So this time around, like, there are certain people that I will help because, like, I have a coworker and friend who goes to San Diego. So, like, he'll help me there. So I help him. Like, there's, like, you know, people that has helping with ToyCon UK and other events. So I'm more than happy to help them because they helped me and we kind of just go back and forth. But for some people, this time I felt bad, but I was kind of like, I'll see what I can do, but I can't guarantee. And so I tried really hard to just focus on me at first, like buy what I want, do my thing. And as a result, I did miss out on trying to help a few people, but there's only so much I can do. I'm only one person.
Mm-hmm.
I tried. But I did mule a little bit, and you saw Gary. He got to...
I know. I was there. I watched it. I saw it. I felt bad for you because you're such a nice person that you want to help people and you want to help out friends. And, you know, one day people will return the favor and all that sort of stuff. But I could see that you're having a major inner struggle with getting your stuff and their stuff. Like, I feel that muling is just a burden on you.
It is.
You need to make her a new T-shirt for next year. It says "Muling ain't easy."
Yeah, it's hard. It's a conflict because I do want to help people, and I've been there. I get what it's like to not be at an event and want stuff, and I like helping people, but it weighs heavily on me. I hate, especially when someone wants something and I miss out, and then I feel bad because I said I would try to help, and then I have guilt because I couldn't get it. So it's getting to a point now, because I even know I said it there. I was like, I need to just stop trying to do this. I need to just say no muling.
No, there was a time that I think you were wanting to go to lunch, and you're like, no, we can't go for another hour because I have to be at this booth to get a ticket for this person. Like, that's even affecting our lunch.
Yeah, I did a lottery for someone. So yeah, it's I don't know. You all need to tell me how to like say no and not feel bad, because it's so hard.
You just have to tell people, like, look, I'll do what I can, but I can't promise anything. So if you really want this, you should get someone else to do it. If you're okay with maybe getting it, I can try.
Yeah, because the other thing too is like, and people will say I shouldn't do this, but I don't like doing muling fees and all of that. Like, and I also like, I don't like collecting money up front. It's easier for me to generally know what people want. I'll try for it. If I get it, great. I'll message them that night and we'll deal with it later. Like, it's just how it works for me, and I'm happy to do it or whatever. But yeah, it's getting to a point, Gary, where I don't know. Maybe I just need to say no.
I agree. Well, speaking about turning people away, we were talking. So we have a Facebook group. It's called the Marsham Toy Hour on Facebook. It's a group where we kind of carry the conversation as our own little community on Facebook. And what we've been noticing recently,
plug.
No, this is not a plug.
No,
this is not, because
it's actually like
almost an anti-plug.
It's like an anti-plug. We're basically going to yell at people.
So we know a lot of people probably just want number of followers and all that stuff, but we don't want that in our group. We want actually people to join the group who actually listen to the show and are engaged and know about designer toys. And what we've been noticing the past several months is people are trying to become members that they don't even know. Like, so George, we have 3 simple questions, to join the group. Name 2 hosts of the show, name your last designer toy purchase, and then the new question is, how do you stream or download an episode? And that's all you have to do. So anyone who wants to be a member, you got to answer those 3 things. If you didn't answer those, or you don't know the answers, we're not letting you in. I'm not saying it's an exclusive thing, but we don't want bots in there making stupid, advertising comments, and we want people who actually know what we're talking about to be a part of the community. We're not looking to be...
Am I in this group?
Yeah, you're in the group.
No, you're not. You said you won't join it because you're not.
I think George is in there.
I don't remember ever answering those questions.
No, because I probably added you. But anyone who wants to go on there and join the group, like, please just answer the questions. Otherwise, we're not...
But it's a trick. You have to answer Tyler and Aaron.
Well, like this...
Those are the 2 hosts.
This week, someone said Gary and Marsha and didn't answer any other questions. So that person doesn't get in. Because I think what might be happening is people aren't listening to the show, but maybe they heard from friends that, hey, there's this nice little community on Facebook where they talk and have discussions about designer toys, and maybe those people want to get in. But if you want to, fine, but at least answer the questions. At least let us know something about designer toys.
And we need to change Theresa's name to Marsha now.
Marsha.
Oh, God, no.
Or Marsha needs to be the name of the alien. Marsha Marsham.
Oh, God.
That's not bad,
yeah,
George.
no, I agree. Maybe we want to more tight-knit. But it's funny we're talking about names. So I'll probably post this in the group. Because, George, I wanted to name our listeners, like...
Marsha's.
Marsha's.
Like, there's the Biebers for Justin Bieber, whatever. But I'm like, do we have, like, Marshammers or, like, Martians? Like, Ham? Like, what's the name of our listeners? What do we name them?
I think you got to call them Marsha's now. Like, that's too good.
The Marshas?
Yeah.
We'll put it to a vote on the group.
Yeah. We'll let the group decide what to call. Because I was working on a post the other day. I was getting all sappy and like saying thank you for being awesome. But I wanted to be like, I love you, insert like name of listeners. But I was like, what do I call you? It's like we don't have a name for them yet. So we need a name.
I love you, Marshas. You Marshas are the best.
I'm going to think that most people don't want to be called something other than listeners. But maybe people would be, I don't know.
No. It'd be cool, like the Beliebers and
the Marshas.
Like
Martians?
Martians?
Yeah, why not Martians?
The Martians. It's not bad.
Marshamites?
Throw your antennas up, Martians. That'll be the new picture everybody has to send in.
There you go. For the next contest, you have to throw up your antennas and post it on Instagram.
Yeah. We'll do a photo contest.
So we're
Let's
clear
do
that was
it.
my joke, not George's.
Oh, look at you trying.
Yeah, I don't want him
Try
taking
it. I
credit
get
for
it.
being funny.
Yeah. Do you have to deal with this a lot, George?
It really was her idea.
No, I know it was, but does Jess ever have an issue with you like stealing ideas or just can't be the ghostwriter for an idea?
Only if it's her idea and when they're good.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Gary?
Problem with not getting recognition for really good ideas.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Jess, I'm with you on this because men, Gary, have a problem with stealing
Whoa!
women's ideas.
Whoa! Whoa!
Oh, it
Whoa.
just got
This
real.
is not a battle of the sexes here.
No! Because I had like a guest idea and you reach out to them as if it's yours, and that's not cool. You should say, like, hey, Theresa had a really good idea. Like, don't be throwing me under the bus. If I came up with it, credit me.
Whoa.
It got real awkward in here. George, we might have to break away and do our own podcast now.
I think
I'm with
so.
you, Jess.
Was the antenna
Girl
the
power.
bad idea?
No, it's
Should have ended this show 5 minutes ago.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Well,
All right.
this.
If I had a collar, I'd be like, ooh.
You can't do that with your t-shirt collar?
Oh, okay.
Well, this has been the.
Let's sign
Let's
off.
sign off. This is.
Fun.
Each take a brief moment. Let us know where they can find you. Theresa.
Sure. If you all want to find me, check me out on Instagram. My username is TMHawk24.
George.
All you Marshas out there can follow me at Double G Toys on Instagram, and then the Martians can come find me on Facebook.
Nice.
I don't go on Facebook anymore, really, so I don't know why I said that.
Okay. I'm Gary Ham on Instagram, superham.com. This has been the Marsham Toy Hour. We do this every week, not because we have to.
But because we want to.
And we really have to.
So, until the next time our antennas are up.
What do you normally say?
I don't know. What do I say?
See you next
See you
time?
next week. Yeah, because.
Mainly put your antennas up.
I'm going to creepily crawl through your window.
All right, so until our next transmission, we're signing off. Bye.
Bye.